All right, today we're going PIM hunting. We're talking about that nasty interference that can bring a wireless network to its knees. Passive intermodulation. We're going to cover the essential tools and principles you absolutely need to know to find it out in the field. Let's get right into it.
Now, just so you know where we are, this is part 5 of our deep dive here. And everything we're talking about comes straight from a super detailed field guide by the pros over at RFI Detectives, who are part of virtualization options. We're moving past the what is it and into the how do we find it. So look, by now you get it. PIM is this nasty, self-generated interference, and it can just cripple a network's performance. You know why it's a problem, but that's kind of the easy part. The real question, the one that matters when you're on the clock, is how in the world do you find it when you're up on a tower or buried in an equipment room?
Well, to answer that, you have got to have the right tool for the job. And when you're hunting PIM, your #1 weapon, your best friend, is going to be the modern PIM tester. It's the key to the whole investigation.
And this thing isn't some generic piece of equipment. No way. It's a highly specialized instrument built for one job and one job only, to be a PIM detective. It creates the perfect storm, those precise, high-power RF signals that wake PIM up, and then it listens, really carefully, for the interference that gets kicked back.
So how does it actually pull this off? Let's pop the hood and see what's going on inside this thing, because it's actually pretty clever how it all works together. Okay, here's the breakdown. First, you've got two signal sources that create these really clean, high-powered test tones. Think of them like two loud, pure notes. Then a diplexer combines them and sends them down the line. But here's the real magic. The receive path has these incredibly sharp filters that are designed to completely ignore those two loud notes and listen only for the faint, ugly distortion they create when they mix. That's our PIM. And finally, an analyzer measures just how loud that PIM is. It's basically an entire test bench in one portable box.
Now, a lot of modern testers have this absolute game-changing feature called distance to PIM, or DTP. Seriously, think of it like radar for PIM. It sends out a signal and analyzes the reflections to tell you how far down the cable the PIM source is. So instead of just guessing, it tells you, hey, the problem is about 50 feet that way. It's an absolute lifesaver.
Okay, let's clear something up right now, because this trips people up all the time. A PIM test is not, I repeat, not the same as a return loss or a VSWR test. Yeah, they're both vital for a healthy system, but they are looking for totally different kinds of trouble.
See, a return loss test is all about impedance mismatches. It tells you how good your connections are, how much power is getting reflected back. But a PIM test, that reveals something called nonlinear behavior. That's the rusty bolt effect we've talked about, the thing that actually creates brand new interference. And here's the kicker. A component can totally pass one test and spectacularly fail the other. That's why you got to do both.
All right, lean in for this one. I want to share maybe the most important lesson you can learn out in the field. This can save you hours of pulling your hair out. Let's talk about the #1 reason a PIM test fails.
Just think about it for a sec. You hook everything up, you hit the start button, and the result is terrible. It failed. What's the first thing you blame? The antenna? A jumper cable? What if the problem is literally in your hands?
And there it is. The #1 cause of a failed PIM test is often your own test equipment. Yeah, so many techs learn this the hard way, chasing a ghost PIM all over a site for hours, only to figure out that their own dirty, beat-up test cable was creating PIM the whole time. Your gear is supposed to find the problem, not be the problem. So how do you avoid falling into that trap? It really just comes down to good habits. First, only use accessories, your cables, your adapters, your loads, that are specifically rated as low PIM. Second, treat them like gold. These things are expensive for a reason. And maybe most important of all, clean and inspect your connectors before every single use. A clean setup is the only way you're going to get results you can actually trust.
So let's wrap all this up into something simple. Before you even think about starting a test, you should run through a quick mental pre-flight checklist, just to make sure you're actually set up for success.
It's really this simple. Step 1, make sure you're using the right tool, a dedicated PIM tester. Step 2, know what it's telling you, and remember that it's not the same as a return loss test. And step 3, the big one we just talked about, trust but verify. Your results are only as good as your test setup, so please keep your gear clean. So, we've gone over the tools, the principles, the biggest pitfall to avoid. The only question left is, are you ready to actually put this stuff to work? Because next time, we're taking all this knowledge out into the field, and we're going to walk through how to find and fix PIM step by step. I'll see you then.